And now we're going to be speaking about physiology.
Just general science.
We're going to be speaking about general science. Inshallah, we have Hafiz, Khan. He's going to speak about general science.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawala. So as Brother Hassan said, I will be talking about general science and how the Quran has facts about general science that weren't even proven at that time until maybe 1,000 years later. So if we go to our first ayah talking about fingerprints, it is in Surah Qiyamah verses 3 to 4. أيحسب الإنسان أن لن نجمع عظامه بلى قادرين على أن نسوي بنانه. Does man think that we cannot assemble his bones? Nay, we are able to put together in perfect order the very tips of his fingers. Now, you could wonder, like, why would Allah say the very tips of the fingers, something so that people would think is something so minuscule back at that time. You know, back then they didn't really have anything important to do with fingertips, but Allah knew that things like in this day and age, everything would be secured, I guess you could call it, by our fingertips. Like most phones nowadays, they have fingerprint sensors. You can't go into your phone without using your fingerprint. A lot of banks now with iPhones, they have the Touch ID. You can access your bank account with your fingerprint. Now, for a little bit of background information on those on fingertips is that each and every person has their own unique fingertip. No two people will have the same exact fingertip. Even if you have identical twins, and their genetics are almost exactly the same, they look exactly the same, they sound exactly the same, their fingertips will be different. They won't even be similar to each other. They'll be completely different. And that's why like police forces nowadays or the government, if they want to find you, they'll use your fingerprint. If they catch you doing a crime, they'll take your fingerprints down. They'll take each and every one of your fingerprints down. And that's why the verse, it even talks fingertips with an S, meaning plural, all of your fingertips. And the different lines on your fingertips, each and every single line is the fusion between the epidermis and the dermis on the fingertips. So those lines, like I said, are unique to each and every person, and you can never have two people that have the same exact thing. So the line on your fingers, like I said, represent the fusion, and these two layers are fused in the womb about 4 months of age. In the gestation period, after 4 months in the womb, they will begin to fuse, and this fingerprint will stay with that person for their entire life, unless you have like a permanent scar on there. But that would only add to the uniqueness of the fingerprint. But in the year around 858, the English scientist William Herschel pointed out that fingerprints differ with the difference of their holders, because they did a whole research. They did studies with many different people, many different many different races, and they all testified that there weren't any fingerprints that were the same. So this would prove, like, the Quran knew about the very tips of the fingers, something so minuscule back then. We would know that how important it is today, and in the future it will become maybe even more important. We don't know yet, but the Quran knew this before it was even discovered. It says in 858, so a couple hundred years before this was discovered by science, the Quran knew this. It was revealed in around 600, and in 858, this is when they discovered it. A couple hundred years before it was discovered by modern science, the Quran had already told this to us. Now we can move on to our next, the next little topic in the field that I'm talking about: pain receptors present inside the skin. Now, hundreds of years ago, back at the time of the Quran, or even after that, like maybe the Renaissance, even at that time, people thought that pain was only inside the brain. It wasn't like something physical. If it was only something that that was inside the brain. You couldn't have it on your. There were no pain receptors on the skin. That's what they believed. So on the top of the skin, at the very top, the part you can see is the epidermis. Underneath that, you have the dermis, and with those, you have the cutaneous receptors, which are the types of sensory receptors found in either the dermis or the epidermis, sometimes both. They're a part of the somatosensory system, and the cutaneous receptors include cutaneous mechanoreceptors, which deal with something else. But the part that I want to focus on that they include are the nociceptors, which sense pain. So like if somebody slaps you on the wrist really hard, you'll feel that pain because of the nociceptors. If somebody pinches you on your skin, you'll feel it because of the nociceptors inside of the skin. And you also have the thermoreceptors, which are they regard the temperature. But I want to focus on the nociceptors. The nociceptors were discovered by Charles Scott Sherrington in 1906. They're responsible for the pain you feel, and usually if you have like a burn victim, what the doctors will do is they'll do a pinprick test. They'll take a pin and they'll prick you with it. And if you feel something, that's a good sign. That means the pain receptors underneath your skin are still intact, so the burn isn't that bad. But if you don't feel anything, that means that the pain receptors in your skin have been gone. So how would you do this if pain is only in the brain? Your brain is still intact, right? You're still alive. They're still doing the test on you. That means you're still alive. Why would they do it on you if you're dead? So they'll prick your skin, and if you feel pain, that means your pain receptors are still intact, and it's a good sign. So this like I said, this was in 1906. And this is 1,300 years after the Quran was revealed. SubhanAllah, the Quran knew these scientific facts 1,300 years before it was discovered by modern science. So, like I said, there were, like the other people, our other brothers said, there are many other scientific revolutions that we have found in recent centuries, but the Quran knew all of these things before we even knew them. But yeah, that would be only some of the things that we would know from the Quran. We have the pain receptors, we have fingerprints, we have the sense of hearing and your sense of sight. Oh yes. Now since we have the pain receptors present in the skin, the ayah has been revealed to us. I forgot to read it, I'm sorry for that. But the ayah can be found in Surah Nisa, verse number 56. إن الذين كفروا بآياتنا سوف نصليهم نارا كلما نضجت جلودهم بدلناهم جلودا غيرها ليذوقوا العذاب إن الله كان عزيزا حكيما. Those who reject our signs we shall soon cast into the fire. As often as their skins are roasted through, we shall change them for fresh skins, that they may taste the penalty, for Allah is exalted in power and He is wise. Now that's like I was saying before, when you have a burn victim and they prick the skin to see if the pain receptors are still there, that's what's going to happen to you. Well, not that, but a similar punishment is going to happen to you in the fire. Your skin will be burned, and when you can't feel anymore because the pain receptors have died, they will change your skin so that you can still feel the pain afterwards. So that would be the pain receptors inside of the skin. And I also talked about how fingerprints are very important. Though they were considered minuscule back then. That's why maybe it would have been, Allah said the tips of the fingers, maybe to prove that even something so minuscule as a fingertip back then, it would be considered nothing. But nowadays it's very important. Our fingerprint could basically tell our entire lives. Even our bank accounts, our phones, everything is revolving around our fingerprints. So with that, I would like to wrap up, and if you would like to recap what we did.
Alhamdulillah, Brother Yaqub, he spoke about general science. Today we went over the majority of the topics in this book. Alhamdulillah, we spoke about the Quran. We started off with the challenge that Quran presented to the disbelievers. We spoke about astronomy, physics, geography, geology, biology, zoology, medicine, embryology, and general science. And we learned we learned quite a bit from the students. Alhamdulillah, they did their research and they were able to present to us how miraculous the Quran was in predicting these discoveries. Well, not predicting, for knowing these discoveries way before modern science and humans were able to get to know this. And once again, it was this illiterate man that they believed, who knew so little, who they disbelieved, was supposedly making up all of this. And now today we see this to be true. It's truly miraculous, alhamdulillah. Once again, thank you, the students, for doing the research and presenting to us your own respective topics. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, wa assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.